All right. Well, welcome everybody. This is going to be a brief retrospective, and by brief, I use that term loosely because it seems like anytime I'm on the microphone with my guest here, it seems like it goes a little bit longer than brief. But I'm also joined here by the coronated officially multi-ranked number one player, consensus number one player in the world, Player-1. We're going to talk about 2025 rankings. How are you doing, Player-1 Hunter?
Um, Good. I feel like I'm saying the same thing maybe before because we just asked me the
Yeah, we just
question in
did
the non-recording.
formalities.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I'm a little tired, but we're good.
yeah. So yeah, congratulations first off on um a very very strong season, borderline not quite but almost perfect season overall from you. And you know spoilers for anybody going through this rankings. If you're watching it, I am assuming that you have seen the ranking already, but might not necessarily go through some of the rationale and discussions on it. But yeah, player one ultimately was the number one player, followed by well, you know what? Why don't we'll go rolling through it from the bottom up, and if you were not sorry for spoiling the number one spot, but I had to get those accolades out first, so we know why to listen to Hunter. But and I guess we want a reason to listen to me as well. I was fortunately or unfortunately for the community, number three on the ranking, as well as the co-chair of the ranking panel for this SSBB Rank 2025, which is one of six panel members, and then Player-1 also does his own call it the official ranking on his end that captures 2 years, I think, of of competitive play for Brawl. So multiple rankings, multiple ideas, and looking forward to talking about this new top 20 that just came out for 2025 only. All right. Well, methodology wise, and Hunter, feel free to chime in if you have any thoughts or questions or anything like that, and I'll pay attention to the chat if I see anything as best I can. Methodology wise, just to kind of put it out there, and this is all outlined in the article that will be linked wherever this video is uploaded. That the 2024 to 2025, there's a little bit of a transition for the panel. The former panel chair, Ninja1167, he decided that he was no longer out of the wanting to spearhead the ranking project, so he decided to step down. And after going through my own helping head this project, I don't blame him. It's been a wild ride, but I still enjoyed myself overall. So I don't know if I assume I'll be back for more the following year. But he did hand off the panel to the two returning members, Ashley and myself. And then Ashley and myself, one of our goals was to make it a broader community discussion. So we went on to our community hub Discord, Brawl Central, and opened up the panel to applications for people to join. I don't think that there was anybody that applied that we did not accept. It would have probably taken a very. I'm not sure what circumstances it would have been where we would not have accepted an applicant, but we did stress for people when they applied that we were going to factor in people that had the accolades to like have legitimacy for the rankings, but also keeping in mind that we want to make the panel accessible for different viewpoints and give people the opportunity to be part of the community more broadly. Um, so we ended up with adding on Blueprint, Frisk, Hinkage, and Quackus. So that was a six person panel. Um, and then yeah, and then we went through ranking the season. Throughout the year, I kept track of like all of the tournaments that I could find on StartGG of all the results. And unlike in previous years, there had been like something kind of made of like, oh, is this tournament a super major? Is this one a national? Is this one a regional or something like that? And I kind of felt like on my end, but I don't necessarily know if this is like the opinion of the panel. This is just more my personal opinion. I kind of felt like that started to get a little more toxic than it was worth in terms of the utility of letting people know what the major tournaments are. So we kind of did away with that idea of like a tournament tiering system. and we just looked at all the tournaments, and then just just based off of the strength of the players that were there, we added people onto a ballot based off all the events that were tracked, and then we kept adding on more people based off of the criteria of you had to beat somebody that beat somebody down the list, and then we ended up with like around 100 people that were kind of like in contention out of the couple thousand people that we kept track of for players, and yeah, and then we went through and we all examined all the results, and everybody had their ballots. All six panelists put together a ballot. We looked at our ballots. We found out that we disagreed on a bit, but most of it we were pretty close on, and then we just kind of hammered out our disagreements, and on almost everything we got a consensus, but every once in a while we couldn't get a consensus. We got an impasse, and we just did a majority vote, and then that is how we ended up with the list that we have now. Any thoughts on that methodology on your end?
Just like as a whole,
Yeah,
like including I guess the panel members and everything.
yeah.
Um, let's see. I guess panel members, I've always thought like I've being a leader of the Georgia scene for a long time. I've been part of like every single game's panels for my scene. And eventually, like when I stopped playing like Smash 4 and Ultimate, I have remained on the panel for a little bit longer than I really, I guess, wanted to be.
Hmm.
Um, and eventually, like I don't do any of the rankings anymore. So I've like I guess have passed on the position to like other people. And but like during my time, I've always thought um like maybe we should or maybe like if I maybe I should have passed down the position sooner than I did, I guess.
Hmm.
And trying to like get other people that are more involved in the scene, well, both more involved in the scene, but also like um maybe like a player or a person I could see like leaving the scene,
Hmm.
for example. And I feel like um giving them like a I don't want to say a job, but like a responsibility, I guess. If they want to do rankings, I feel like it's good for the scene and it keeps them there longer. So I like that
Sure.
you open up the applications to like everyone. At the same time, I guess would like to see qualified people, I guess. Not that the people
Yeah.
on the panel here were not qualified. I'm just saying, like in general, like if I know you said you accepted everyone, but like I guess disclaimer, like I personally wouldn't go and like accept anyone. Not that you didn't, but just
Right.
in this
Right.
case, like it just turned out that way, right? Based off the
Right.
players.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't really know a lot about the people that were on the panel, or um I didn't check out who was on the panel this time. I know you
It's
and Ashley were, but that was it.
yeah, Blueprint, Frisk, Hinkage, and Quackus.
Oh
Were in.
yeah,
So
I
it's
knew
like it's like
Hinkage
a
too.
mix of players, tos, and new blood, and yeah, I think that's something um that I've kind of like, I don't know if there's like a right answer to, but in terms of like we do want qualified people on the panel, um but I guess the hard part on that is, and this is not necessarily disagreeing with you or anything like that, it's just kind of thinking through everything, is that um the community is small, so the number of qualified people that that we might have is limited, on one level, and then also the people that applied, we were limited based off the number of people that might be considered more qualified, that applied, and then let me think about what else might be, but also I think it's something that the experience of being on the panel of itself is something that's going to build, and the people that might have been question marks for this season. I think moving into next year, now that they have a year under their belt, they're going to be a lot more, rigorous and robust in how they approach things and things like that. So I think it'll be interesting to see how
Yeah,
that part develops.
I guess I'm saying like and again, not that you wouldn't, but just to kind of I guess the way that you kind of phrased it kind of makes it sound like or you didn't discount the fact that like if someone not qualified applied that you wouldn't accept them. But yeah, I agree that the community is small. I guess if like some
Right.
random person joined the Discord and like a day before and applied, like I probably wouldn't accept them into the panel. And I'm assuming that like you wouldn't either, probably, if you
Right.
don't know much about them or they didn't really put in
Yeah.
a strong application, right? I guess, or not just like new players, but just people that have proven themselves to be unqualified. So not no not trying to like hate on this person, but I guess I will speak from when I was on the panel a couple years ago. I think I was on the
Mhm.
panel. I was in some rank something, and I think I remember Poyo or Ripple. I don't remember what they go by right now.
Uh-huh.
They applied, and although I love Poyo, I did not think they were a qualified person just based off their like discussion history. Um, so that would just be like a specific example. Again, no hate to Poyo if you're watching this. Love you.
Yeah, no, yeah, people bring a variety of viewpoints, and there's a point from the chat coming from Eagle. Let me read it. Concerned that a few of them may have just followed a lot on what I said based on what was read in the general chat. Not that my opinions are necessarily wrong. It's just that it defeats the purpose of a diverse viewpoint, as they put it. And um, that is a valid concern. I did have concerns that people that were newer to the panel um, might just go along with with things that I said. Um, and I know that I personally bring a lot of strong opinions to the table when it comes to voting on stuff. So that that honestly, there's no way. I wouldn't really know for sure if that is um, true or not. Like I did my best to be fair and to hear everybody's viewpoints, and there was not like really a decision that was made on the panel that was like just unilaterally, oh, Lux says this is how we should do it. It was always put up to votes, and sometimes if people are convinced by the arguments that I make, it could be also indicative that I have a strong argument, or at least a strong rationale presented as to why I believe we should do certain things a certain way. But it is something that um over time, like I said, this might be the worst case that it will be, because it'll be, we'll have half the panel, or them being kind of like their first time on it, and they'll be better next year. So um
Yeah, I've been in that situation. I feel like also with the specifically the ultimate rankings where
yeah.
we had a lot of people, and I felt like probably out of all the panel members in the ultimate Georgia Ultimate panel, I felt like I was probably the most vocal person. Um, and then a lot of the times I think people just agreed with me. And
Mhm.
that could just be like, okay, maybe I just made, really strong arguments or good points. And maybe that and then so that people agree with me,
Right.
so it was just correct, but also at the same time maybe it's just people not voicing their opinions. I think for the most part, I think people on that panel like if they disagreed with something they would bring it up. Um but yeah, I've definitely have like felt that way too,
Right.
where it's like, am I influencing people? I would want people that can formulate their own opinions and are willing to concede points that they are not making a strong argument for, or they can see the other side, right? That's like the type of panelist I would want on a panel.
Yeah. Let's see. Chia asked, were there any ideas presented that ended up getting voted against? Um, in general, yeah, I guess so. Like, I don't know if it's like in relation to things that I was presenting, or if it's just like in practice. Like off the top of my head, something that was voted against, and actually you'll get a kick out of this, I'm sure, Hunter. There was some discussion going into this ranking season on if we should move to a 2-year model, similar to the official rankings put on by Player-1. And on my end, I was personally against that. The rationale behind it is I feel like forcing players to come out each year to prove it is better for the game. I understand that there's sample size issues and stuff like that, and but I think sample size stuff is and the different values of how to rank people is going to be tough no matter what the sample size is going to be. But broadly, I was like, on something like 2 years, in my opinion, is a lifetime for the game. And on the other side of it too is we already have another ranking that does a 2 year ranking. As a matter of fact, at one point I put together the 20 what added the 2024 totals to that one spreadsheet. I kicked your way, at one point. So, um, it's I don't necessarily know if we need to make I think it's good to have multiple rankings that have different opinions and different methodologies and different ideas on how to go about it. But I want there to be at least one out there, and this is just my opinion. It was not a. I think we ended up majority voting on it, and this is not a consensus on it. That it only should be about 1 year, and I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer on that one. I would concede that it's it's a judgment or a value call. There's not like a 100% foolproof. This is the right way to go about it. Um,
Yeah.
but
I think I guess the reason I would use two rank or that the ranking the official rankings that we have a 2 year time period is that right for the larger sample size mostly.
right,
Um Now to kind of like come to get people encouraged to come out to events this year, like I think the eligibility requirement that we used is
they
I
had
think
to
it
go to two
was
events and be at an event this year though. Like if you didn't
yeah,
come at
at
all
least
this
one
year,
of
then
them
you're
had to
not
be this
eligible.
year.
Right.
Yeah, because that was kind of like just a snap decision that I guess we were looking at 686's records and like he had the records obviously to be in the top 10, but it was just very hard to rank exactly where he was because he's been out of
Right.
the scene for over a whole year now, I think. And so it just didn't seem right to put him on the panel when he hasn't played in like over a year, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's coming
Or
up
not
on
on the
two
panel,
pretty
on the
soon.
ranking.
Year and a half.
Yeah, yeah. So, but like, so that yeah, that's why he wouldn't be included on there.
Right.
I guess ultimately I want like a ranking is like used to try to measure um skill and also tournament performance
Yeah.
to the best of its ability. And I guess like that is the number one job of a ranking. And I guess what comes secondly, I think to me would be that it's encouraging people to try to show up to tournaments. So I think
Sure.
both are very important factors, but I guess the encouragement part would take a backseat to the accuracy of the ranking.
Sure, and I'm like, and I agree with all that. I think maybe I'm a little more balanced on the I feel like the utility of the ranking is to encourage people to come out to the events, and if it starts discouraging people from going to events, that's when I stop doing it on my end, kind of a deal. But yeah, and then let's see. The other question, Delia, is it hard to rank when people you are ranking are also on the panel? Um, in this particular case, I don't think that was an issue. I think like believe it or not, you'll see that, or that like there's quite a bit of consensus on where people were at, and I think people have enough love for the game that they'll set aside like the personal ego on where they would rank themselves or rank their friends or something like that, and try to make the rankings accurate as one of the values, like Hunter said, or alternatively, make give the rankings legitimacy so it encourages people to feel like there's a fair shake when it comes to ranking, people, so they'll come out to events still. So I think people, I think we're gonna lose out as a community if we're always questioning the motives of each other. And you just kind of got to take it for what it is, that people are just doing their best to do their best by the community, unless they kind of prove themselves otherwise. So it was not too
Yeah,
difficult on my end.
I would say like I mean if this was like a way bigger scene, um, then like maybe like with a lot more qualified people, then you could
Right.
you like probably wouldn't use people that are on the ranking on the panel because of that potential bias, right? Like I
Hmm.
imagine that I don't know. I guess I like I'm trying to think of something more like a much larger scale, like some sport ranking or something. And I'm sure none of the players would be on the panel or however
Actually,
they decide the
in
rankings, right?
basketball and football for college, the coaches
Uh-huh.
have a poll where they rank themselves, like they rank their schools on it. So it's not like unheard of for people that have a vested interest in their particular ranking. to
Yeah, but
be like one
everyone,
of the panelists
it's all the
on a
coaches
thing.
then, right? I would
Yeah,
assume every
right.
team
Yeah,
has a coach, but and it would be a little different because not every single person on the ranking would have a say on the panel.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but
That's true. Yeah.
they I think but when it's this small of a scene, I think you can like if someone's like being biased for themselves, I feel like well, first off, they have to put out a legitimate argument for that. And if
Right.
they're not putting out a legitimate argument on that, then someone can call them out on it. Basically, if they are putting a legitimate argument on it, then that's a legitimate argument, and then you have to respect it, right?
Right.
Um, so I don't know. That would be my take on it. Like it's at the end of the day, I don't think it's that serious where people on the ranking can't be on the panel or whatever. But I
Sure.
could see how it could be difficult and sometimes. When we were in also when I did this in the Georgia scene, when it came to ranking themselves, because we had multiple people on the ranking on the panel,
Mhm,
we just didn't have them rank themselves. We just like you just ignore the ranking for that
mhm,
person and everyone else can say that. But so that would be like be another option.
sure. Yeah, it's something maybe we could think about for the next panel. It's a good idea. I think we had toyed with that, but we were just but we didn't have enough disagreement that it was like something that seemed overly necessary. But I think that covers methodology. We talked about that for a good 5 to 10 minutes, and I don't think there are any more questions methodology wise. So why don't we move on to the fun stuff? Let's start celebrating the people in 2025, and we'll start at the bottom. Like we mentioned with honorable mentions, and we ended on 4 of them as a panel. And the way that people got honorable mentions were they had to get a majority approval from the panel, and that approval could have been either to either vote them as an honorable mention or they received a vote, to be in the top 20 on someone's ballot. So on those honorable mentions, we ended up with Supergirl Kells, Ashley, and Bike and Gardix for the honorable mentions. And I think that's a pretty solid, four spot. For the rankings. I did have a dissension note in the article. One of the things in order to keep to make it more interesting for the community is and as part of making sure that we kept peace with the panel was we gave everybody that if they felt really strongly about something and they wanted it as part of the write up format, they could present that, and sign off on that as themselves for the panel. And one of the things that I brought up on my end for the panel or for a dissension was that I felt like Jam and Toast, Kiwi, and Jebu should have been honorable mentions as well. They both barely missed the honorable mention cut because they did not get a majority, but they both received multiple, or all 3 of them received multiple honorable ranking votes. I'm not going to share specifically ballots or anything like that, but they were all really close. Um, Going through the lists on it, and this is applies to Norway. Jebu being, I think it's from Finland. Don't quote me on that, but I don't think it's from Norway. But Bike and Gardix have been the top 2 in Norway for quite some time. They were ranked in 2023, and there's been, I was bound and determined to make a trip out to Norway. It's still kind of on the books on something that I want to do, but the wife had a car accident, so the money kind of took a turn south for that trip, but it's still on the wish list. But one of the notable things was Jebu came in second above Gardix at Smashboard. So it seemed odd to me to not put Jebu as an honorable mention if you have Gardix. And but on the other side of it is Bike and Gardix have come out to North America for their turn, for an events and have been ranked in the past, and Jebu has not. So that was part, I think, one of the big impediments for Jebu's case. And then kind of a similar issue for Jam and Toast, who won Beak Bonk. And on the way beat Praxis and ranked last year Valdens, who beat Hoenn in a set last year. So I felt like they only went to one tournament, so it's kind of hard to actually rank where they are at. So they could have been, they very well could be, godlike of the game. We just don't know. And then Kiwi, I feel like had a pretty good resume overall. And if there's like a 21, 22, or 23 spots, they would be filled in by SGK, Ashley, and Kiwi, in my opinion. So, any thoughts on the honorable mentions?
I think all those seem reasonable honorable mentions. This was the first time for the official rankings, I think, that we've had no Norway players on it, and
Hmm.
it's mostly because it's really hard to just rank them comparatively to the US players because there's just not really a lot of crossplay.
Hmm.
Um, so I think I like having them as honorable mentions because of still they go to tournaments, right? I assume I
Yeah.
didn't check them out actually, but I assume they're still going to tournaments within the past year or 2 years for the official ranking. So I'm fine with them being on the honorable mentions.
Hmm.
I
Oh, you
know
have Iota on
Kel's.
yours.
Oh yeah, I had Iota.
It has
I could pull
multiple
up
good
the reason.
placements
I don't.
at Nova, right? I assume.
Yeah, I don't think he had I don't know if he performed well this year or if he entered this year. I don't remember. I have
I
my
think a
data somewhere on an Excel
top 10 win on
spreadsheet.
Chia last year. I guess if you're
Yeah, and
factoring
I
it, so
think
that's a big
he
pickup.
beaten Kylo also.
Oh, okay,
Um, so which was also a good one, even though she's not on the rankings.
right.
But
Honorable mention
she still
last
had
year.
like a good, yeah, she had a good performance last year. So like she was still a good win for Iota. So
Sure.
that would be an honorable mention. Um and then yeah, Kells, I think I know that she's been playing a lot in just in the Canada scene. And there hasn't been a lot of crossplay either, except she did go to Supernova, right?
Yeah,
And she was
I
in
think it
there.
came in
So I don't
what's
remember
that,
how well she
13th?
did.
13th
Yeah,
off
it
the
just
top of my
didn't
head. Let me
stand out
verify.
enough for a 2-year rankings for the honorable mentions, I guess.
Right.
Maybe I should pull up my data that I have if I can find it. I may have already
Oh no,
did
yeah. If you
actually,
have
but
it, great. If not, no, no worries. If there's any data that I can check on, at least for 2025, I probably have it. I have it dialed in. Don't worry for 2025.
okay. I will
Uh,
say it was also like um my rankings I think may have missed some or could have potentially missed some tournaments too. Because I was
mhm.
just going through Start GG and I was just going through players' profiles and looking at their tournament history. But I
Yeah.
noticed that like when I went to a tournament, no, it was like probably one of the Philly tournaments. Like I think it was like Kiosk, Vex, Mike Ray, Hinkage, like the people that would go to these tournaments. Like it didn't appear in their profile for one of them, but it did for others, and I don't know why. It may have been
Oh
because
yeah.
maybe they don't like, accept the little start GG thing, but I didn't think that was an
Maybe they're
issue. I
just
never
using a
had that issue
secondary
before.
name too. Maybe they're smurfing.
No, because when I clicked on their profile, it
Oh.
took me to the same profile. It just was not listed under that profile, which I just thought was weird.
Ah,
So, like, yeah, I've never seen that. So, because I was like, man, I thought there was more Philly tournaments, and so I could have missed some there.
sure. Yeah, it's one of those things where we do our best. There's a lot of data to go through, so if people want to start nitpicking on the data, then I challenge them to go through and collect the data themselves, and then have an opinion on, on the matter. And until they do, then they gotta cut us some slack. That's where I stand on that
Hmm.
position. But all right, let's move into the top 20 then. And coming in at 20 is Captain Falcon Main Extraordinaire, the biggest of figs, Big Fig on ours. And yeah, 20 for Big Fig, win on Ashley, honorable mention. And also picked up a tournament, one of their locals. So I think it's a pretty feel good story overall. Big Fig, I think I'd been ranked in the past. Let me see. I think I have it on here. Oh yeah, in 2018 and 2019 as a Rob player, but now coming into, it's nice to see a low tier make it onto the ranking overall, and Captain Falcon no less. So um, pretty good. I think the back half, or especially the last the back half of the top 20, oftentimes it's a situation where there's a lot of people that have either one marquee win or one big tournament placing or something like that kind of puts them onto the map. Um, and in this particular case, and this is not a knock on Ashley as a player, because she demonstrated she's capable of coming in you know ninth at Supernova, but a lot of the path for quite a few players was beat Ashley in tournament and make it onto the rankings overall. So yeah, thoughts on Big Fig?
Um, I have to see the record, the data that you have for it,
Hmm.
but I guess it seems reasonable just based on what you just said. Um, the official rankings, we only went up to the top 15,
15.
so Yeah,
Sure,
I really wasn't even looking at Fig for the top 15 just based off the performances compared to the other people.
sure.
Um, but I mean, based off of what you just said, I think it seems reasonable. I'm wondering if compared to the honorable mentions, I'm thinking like, would anyone in the honorable mentions take this spot? And I guess I
Yeah,
was looking at Kells. Was any
yeah.
debate for Kells
It's
versus
funny you
Fig?
mentioned that. You and I are usually on the same wavelength. It's kind of funny how that worked out because Kells was actually, and this is not a slight on Big Fig because I respect what he does as a player, but Kells was actually on my ballot as the number 20 instead
Hmm.
of instead of Fig. So go figure on that point. That yeah, that I would agree with you that on my end I had Kells as as my 20 overall. It's just that Kells did not have like that the similar marquee win against like an honorable mention level player or something like that. So I could see why other people would have pushed against it. And yeah, but there's something to be said as Eagle points out in the chat. That there's something to be said about having like a lot of notable Canada wins, like a string of like there's a lot of them. Like Kels probably has like the deepest, most amount of sets on head to heads of anybody on the on the ranking just by the sheer volume of locals she handled.
How'd she do at Supernova?
13th, and then third on
And
Gommel too.
I think she beat Fear at that.
She
I guess
beat. I can tell you in a second. I don't know off the top
because
of
I
my
feel
head.
like I watched that set. I
Let
think,
me pull up my. I will tell you in a second. Let me pull up my head to head here. Oops.
but I guess Ashley would be considered the better win over Fear.
Right.
I guess. Well, so we have a notable win for, and also I'm kind of looking at this notable win on Ashley,
Mhm.
and then but Ashley's also not on the race. So is there talk for Ashley for number 20?
Yeah, some people had Ashley as a vote for 20 as well.
So I 20 was between Fig, Ashley, and Kels, I guess.
Uh, yes, yes. Trying to think if there's anyone else that got it. Don't have the ballots immediately in front of me, but how come my chart is not freezing the top column, so I can't tell you who they played. One second. View freeze one row, please. Thank you. All right, now I can actually make sense of this. SGK on she beat Fear, which is a pretty good win overall. She also beat Cena and Hungry Box. Some pretty good wins.
Oh,
Um,
one H-Box Hunter, bro.
towards the end of the year, he entered a Canadian tournament.
Okay.
He had the biggest of King DDDs going out there. Her losses were she had a couple losses to Smock, the Marth player
Hmm.
up there. He seems to know what the
Yeah,
buttons
I
do.
remember Smock.
Yeah, and Soar. I think are they related?
Um, I
Don't quote me
think
on that.
so.
I thought they were siblings, but I don't know if that's
I
true or
think
not.
you're right, based because
Yeah,
I've known both of them. I've known of both of them since like Smash 4, I think.
right.
And
But
so I think they are siblings, but you're right. I'm not
yeah,
100% sure either.
but that being said, I'm not going to belabor the point too much. I'm gonna we'll move on. But yeah, I think there was a close race between like Ashley, um, Kells, Big Fig, Kiwi was in the mix too. Uh, there was maybe was there anyone else? No, I guess that was kind of it. I think in that upper echelon for that 20th spot. 19 Azazel. Azazel. Ninth at Monarch, third at Vacation Land, 13th at Supernova. Uh, quite a few Boston tournament wins. And then Marquee win Ashley, and then Chudat actually came out of retirement briefly
Oh, that's what
got
tournament
one.
should I enter?
Vacation Land.
What's Vacation Land? I don't know
It
what
was
that.
it's
What was that?
I think it was the spiritual successor to Wavelength last year. I think it was like the same group that ran that event.
Okay,
Um, I think
who won that tournament? If Azazel
Cody
got
Cody won that
third.
tournament.
Okay, and then who got second?
Uh, Mr. Ryan Ness came in second.
Okay. The Chudet one's pretty. that's a pretty good win, I would say, because
Yeah,
shootout, like, it's always like that type of thing where it's like the legacy players, the
right.
vets, who haven't entered really or played a lot since the Brawl's heyday. Like, how good are they still? Do they
Right.
remember how to play, or are they kind of rusty? Um, so it's always kind of hard to rank because they could just do super well, like Fallen, for example.
Yeah.
Did great. I haven't seen him play at all really since Brawl's heyday. And he did great. But then like you have like a shootout who did not perform like up to probably the standards that he was used to back in the day.
Right.
Um, I would guess. But Azazel is a player I think could potentially be higher just based off skill. But like with
Yeah.
the results, it makes sense. But I feel like, well, I haven't looked too much at the past this, but um, I know Azazel is a pretty solid player. So like I could see him being higher up if he went to more tournaments, I think.
Oh, I guess I'm being told Maine was just a one-off Brawl tournament. It had nothing to do with labeling. Um, you'll have to double check on that. I swear to God, I saw on Twitter that it was like the spiritual successor to Wavelength, but you could be right, Regal. I could be wrong. I don't know. Either way, it was the tournament that Cody, Mr. Ryan Ness, Azazel, and and Shootout were at. is what a vacation land was. All right, but yeah, no, I was happy for Azazel too. Making it to the top 20 because he's always been kind of on the edge of that on the edge of the list is but not quite over the hump. It was pretty cool to see. So him making his debut onto the ranking is nice to see. 18, Karobi. Karobi had one tournament placing. That was third at Genesis X2. Marquee win being Ish, as well as wins on Winner's Shorts and Smoom, who both have had quality wins throughout their various seasons. So, um, Karobi is the snake legend from Japan, and he decided to come back as a Meta Knight main. He also was the only person to take a game from me at Genesis that day.
Yeah, I would have loved to play Kirby. So disappointed I didn't go out, but it's just hard to get out to California when you
Yeah, it's
are working a full-time job and everything during the weekday. But
yeah.
um, maybe when my grad school stuff is like all done next year, maybe I can
Uh-huh.
go to the next Genesis and be cool to see him out again. I don't know
Yeah.
if he ever plans on coming back, but
Well, he's
it's really
coming
cool
back
that
for
he
this
entered.
one. He's actually
Oh, he
coming to
is?
this current one. Yeah, he's coming to
Dang, I'm gonna miss out again.
yeah, you're missing it again because he's coming to Genesis. He's excited that he's the number 2 seed. I saw on his Twitter. He's also studying videos of the people that beat him last year. But he did saw that I did share with him that he was ranked for the season, and he said he was thankful and excited about it. So that's
All right,
that's
you
pretty cool.
gotta convince him to come out next year too.
I've been working to get him out the sweet spot broadly. That's
Oh,
that's what I've been trying to work on.
that'd be hype.
That's what I'm working on. I'm gonna sit down with Mr. 200% himself and get some
Is he an
barbecue with
ultimate
that
player?
guy. Yeah, he played ultimate. Oh man, he was like I don't know if he was like sad or not, but he did so much better in Brawl than he did in Ultimate last year. Kind of felt bad for the guy. I was like, all right, dude, let me get you a drink.
Mm.
Let's just we'll just talk about it about life and
Does
stuff
he
like
play
that.
Snake on Ultimate? Do you know?
Yeah, he plays Snake. That's probably why he doesn't play Snake and Brawl. I imagine he doesn't want to get
Yeah.
the buttons crossed up.
Yep. I get that.
All right, and it good on 18. Oh, go on number 17 was Ish. Ish had it's kind of funny that the person that beat Ish is ranked below him, but it's a virtue of having multiple tournaments. Ish had quite a few events. The notable placings were fourth at Genesis X2, ninth at Sweet Spot Blue, but then a highlight at a ninth at Supernova, including wins on Azazel and Ashley, both of them.
Um, yeah, I could see. I wonder if did any people on the panel, or I don't know if you can say this, but was there any discussion between Ish and Karobi? Like, was there dissenting opinions, or was it pretty unanimous? Ish was above
It
Karobi.
was no, it was, but well, I think that there were some people that were just concerned on the attendance side for Kurobi more than anything, so it kind of ended up, I guess, balancing itself out overall. But I think after this is one where I think where people did not have, it was kind of mixed on who was higher between the two of them, and then after talking about it, we landed on Ish being higher for just like the breadth of accomplishments as opposed to the height of the accomplishment. I think, but also
Yeah,
like Azazel and Ashley combined, as a case in point, like two higher level wins versus the one higher level win on Kurobi's docket kind of seemed to be the rationale overall.
yeah. I mean, that's also like that's why I would use a 2-year ranking for the
Mhm.
bigger sample size because it's like, well, if you can't go out to and well, obviously Kirby's in Japan. I don't know how many brawl tournaments are having in Japan. Probably little to none. Um, but so not to his fault.
Right,
But I guess, like, that's the pro of having 2-year tournament. If you can't go to more than 1 tournament in 2 years, then that's feels like sometimes it's more on you, except in
right.
the rare case, probably for Kuropi. Um,
Right. That was actually it's funny you mentioned that because I think that'll come up in the next person. The difficulty to go to an event and the validity of that as a reason to to be kinder to them on the ranking side. I try not to as cold as it might seem, and I guess my privilege is showing in that I had the ability to just kind of go to the events when I want to, but I try not to take that too much overall into consideration when I'm like going through the results. I think like everybody kind of has a reason why it's hard to go, and ultimately at the end of the day, the rankings kind of rewards um the ability to the accomplishments that one brings in, not the accomplishments they might have brought in the event that they in the event that they were able to go or something along those lines. But but that's I'm not that was not like a consensus opinion among the group. I'm sure of that. Speaking of which, that
I
leads to
think,
the next person is Frisk on that.
well, just to finish up my thoughts on
Yeah,
the last one, I think if it was for me, I guess if I was on the panel, I probably would have had, Kurobi over Ish.
gotcha.
Um, even with I mean, yeah, like, I could see either way, but I guess the way I've always heard handle people with a small sample size of tournaments, if it was like if they had like their resume was very solidly better than the other person's, which I feel like in this case Kroby's resume was better, then I would
Mhm.
put Kroby. I would put that person higher. But if it was like even a little like just a little uh hard to decide between them, I'd usually just give it to the person who
Right.
had more attendance or
Oh, you
had
know what?
a large more data.
I guess we should have put on Ish's card. We could have put Winter Shorts, and Fear as well, because that made it its way on. Winter Shorts made its way onto Kurobi's card, but not Ish's card. So that might also help skew things. Actually, that Ish had a win on Winter Shorts this season and Fear. That was not kind of not listed down like on the notable wins that might have it got harder to know like who notable to put down just
Hmm.
on vibes as opposed to like it's easy when someone's a ranked player. Oh, okay, this person is ranked or from an honorable mention. They should go in the in the box, sort of a deal. But anyway, go on to 16. We had Frisk. He had a seventh at Monarch with a win over Azazel for his placing. And this one was a one of the more contentious, I think, placings on the panel. But I think it kind of averaged out, and we ended up, landing here. I think for me, I won't spend too much time on this one because I think I probably would have like absolutely voted. I think I did vote Ish above. I'm not sure if I landed on Kurobi above or not for Frisk, but some of it is like there is not like even if we're factoring in like 1 year or 2 year, like talking about like a 1 year methodology on how to decide how strong a win is or how good a player is. Um, I'm not saying that this is exactly the rationale that was used by other people on the panel, but this is kind of like an approximation that I can think of that just for the sake of the argument, just kind of throwing it out there. Some people are kind of more content with the idea of to hold on to the previous year's rankings as a starting point, and then as new results come in, those results would augment and change that person's position overall, as if it's kind of like a running season. So in that respect, like the idea is that Ish was ranked like I think 14th or something last year, something in that, or 13th last year, and he only had one tournament where he beat a ranked player and only lost to like top five, top six players. So he didn't do anything to hurt his current standing or his previous year's standing, and had a win to maintain it. So, and that was kind of like that's not the exact rationale. I don't want to like misquote or speak for anybody else on the panel that had a different vote than I did, but that was one of the ways that people approach the situation in ways that I would have approached it differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I've always just kind of used at the end of the season the like where people are ending up rather than where they were.
Yeah.
So like if a player was like number one, for example, and someone beat the number one player at the very beginning of the year, like that sounds like really good, and that's going to increase the the worst person seating, and it would make
Hmm.
the best person seating a little worse, going into the next tournament. Like I think seating is more of like a like live updating, I guess. Whereas the rankings are more of like I guess a snapshot or
Hmm.
over the course of the year or 2 years.
Sure.
And but so by the time you get to the end though, like if the number one player is like losing left and right, then I wouldn't value that win as much as I
Sure.
otherwise would have, right? So I don't know if that's the same thing that you said or not.
It kind of it's close. It's like tangential to it. That'll actually come up. I think later on into the top 10. So we'll put a pin in that one. We won't belabor the belabor it too much. But yeah, and as Eagle points out, that I think reputationally, Frisk is considered by skill a top 10 player. He just hasn't been able to make it out to events, and there is some willingness to be to be kind to people that it's hard to make it out to the events and stuff like that. And and trying to take into consideration rationales that they other people might have that that honors the skill. In conjunction with the accomplishments is it's something that's like I said, if people were afraid that it was only going to be me deciding everything, that's one of those things where I probably ended up voting differently than we ultimately landed on, but but it's something that majority wise we landed on, so we can live with it. 15 was Xenon. Similar. Actually, this is kind of a curious case where Frisk came in seventh at Monarch, but Xenon's marquee win at that tournament was Mr. Ryan Ness. So he had a much stronger head-to-head win than than Frisk did, and Frisk kind of got a little bit of the from a seeding standpoint a rough deal, but then also just like from a marquee win standpoint. Uh, that Xenon picked up a win on the number 11 player. Sorry, spoilers down the line. That Xenon picked up a marquee win to put himself onto the ranking. So kind of a curious stats case there, where seventh place at Monarch is ranked below ninth at Monarch. But I think that's something to consider, is that like head to heads also matter, not just the raw placings. So some of it is like trying to tell the story of the event, and both placings and kind of head to head matchups kind of tell those things in conjunction with each other. Anything else, or should I move on to Fallen next?
um No, I think Xenon is a person who could be higher again if he
Hmm.
played more often, because I remember he was getting like pretty solid results,
Hmm.
like years ago.
Yeah,
And
eighth in 2022.
right, so like a little bit of a falling from where he previous was on like old rankings, but it's good to guess I see him on here, and he got a win on a much higher ranked person than him, so it kind of shows that he can still do fairly well. I also kind of wonder. I think Mr. Ryan S is a newer player, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
So I kind of wonder how much Falco experience he has. So like if that loss could have been more like matchup inexperience because of
Uh
a newer player, and he only has like maybe he's only playing the same people or playing against the same characters. But when you have a player like Xenon, um, I guess like a Falco of Xenon's caliber is much. It's like playing against a completely different matchup than playing against like some other worse Falcos, right?
Mhm.
Like sometimes you don't really like you can play against Falcos all day, but if they don't really know how to play the character, when you go and play someone who actually does, it can be very hard. It can throw you off a lot.
Right.
So
Yeah, and Vex also points out too that there was the Meta Knight in question. Although I don't know if that applies as much for Mr. Ryan Ness in so much as Kirby beat Gunner at at Supernova.
yeah,
So
Kirby Falco, not a terrible matchup for Kirby from what
right.
I know
So
of
yeah, it's
the
even
matchup.
or
Falco,
even-ish, I
I
think.
would guess Falco still probably wins the
Slightly,
matchup,
probably.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but like Kirby can kind of blow up Falco when he gets in. So, but
Right.
you're right. I guess Mr. Rhinus' main character is Meta Knight. Um,
All right. Let's keep rolling through, and like you mentioned earlier, Fallen made the cut as well. His one tournament run was seventh at Supernova, and his wins were Mr. Ryan Ness and Ish. Actually, specifically, he and Mr. Ryan Ness split sets with each other, and then he had the one outright win on Ish directly. Um, I think Fallen back context was kind of the benefactor of the Fino dropping out of the tournament sick situation at Supernova. So he was slated to play him, and then obviously the seedings kind of gave him a career path to deeper into the tournament. But then he did beat Mr. Ryan Ness, so it's not like he was a free or a given, no matter how that went down. So he ended up in 14th overall. Um, Sad note, we did not get a good win for him in singles. There's a loss for him, but we did put in doubles that he and AC beat Chien and I in doubles that tournament. So yeah, he's definitely a strong Meta Knight overall, and I'm
yeah,
glad
again,
he's playing net play lately too. So
yep. He was. I played him. He was pretty solid. Kind of surprised because I didn't think. I know he's West Coast, and West Coast I didn't
mhm.
think really had too many Diddy Kongs to play against, but he was yeah, I thought he was pretty solid.
They got the
Um,
Votto breaking Jeebus out there.
yeah, they had I know they had some but I feel like West Coast players historically have just not been good against Diddy Kong.
Hmm.
Like when they played against ADHD, like Mike Hayes was always
Hmm.
pretty weak against Diddy. I remember Anti would go Diddy Kong against Mike Hayes and not even Meta Knight, he wouldn't even deal with it.
Sure.
Um so and like not just Mike Hayes, but like I feel like Larry was a little weak against Diddy from what I know, and just just
Hmm.
other West Coast players. So I guess I just have this um precognition. I don't know if that's the right word, but that
Uh huh.
they West Coast just usually bad against Diddy Kong, but he was pretty solid. And I feel like he'd probably be higher on my list. And again, I'm assuming it's more of an attendance thing.
Yeah.
But like again, when I have see like clear results, like it's very hard to just like argue that the results just don't uh outright beat some of these other players' results. Then I feel like he'd be higher on my list. But I guess I need to see the rest of it because I see Big
Right.
D's next,
Yeah. Big D
and
is
Big
next.
D did Big D beat Mr. INS? I know he did. They trade set sweet spot
I'll tell you in a second. Big D
because
did
he's not on. It's
not.
not on the
They did
notable
not.
wins.
He did not play. No, he lost to Mr. Ryan Ness. Um,
See, so like
he
for
split
me,
with Gunner
Fallen.
Maniac.
Okay, if like Fallen probably would be higher than Big D for me
Uh huh.
because he did have the 1-1 record with Mr. INS where Big D just outright lost. And that might have been
Right.
their only like really common player that they kind of played against. Or at least differentiating thing.
Yeah, I think the difference on it ended up being outside of the multiple tournaments part of it is Gunner Maniac split and the Mr. Ryan Ness split are, they're one off each other. They're pretty comparable though in my head. And Ish is pretty, they're equal. But then there's the SGK and the Kiwi wins on top of it. Added on just enough for my head to put Big D over Fallen because he had two SGK wins at Gommel, as well as the Kiwi win as well.
Yeah, usually I guess that's where our ranking system or criteria kind of differentiates, where
Yeah.
I don't really think of I don't really care too much. I don't, or that they're getting like their wins. I guess for you, it kind of sounds additive. Like we're just adding another win. It's just more to the
Right. Right.
resume. But I guess the way I see it, would Fallen never played against these players, so we don't know. Like we don't know the result. Like he could have won, he could have lost.
Right.
We could only speculate on that, and I don't really count that against Fallen for not having played against some of these players.
Right.
Um,
I would
because
count it for Big D in this particular case, right? That he did beat them, so
yeah,
that does
because
say something from an
based
additive
off
standpoint.
Fallen's
You are right.
performance, like I would expect Fallen to beat like a lot of these players like Kiwi
Yeah.
and SGK, but we don't know. I mean that
Yeah.
like they didn't play, so like who's to say? We can't really make that
Right.
call. So I don't like. I'm more so. That's why when if player has a small sample size and they have like they have a bad loss, that loss hurts them a lot.
Hmm.
It's just polarizing, I guess.
Gotcha.
So
All right. But I think we're good on that point. Yeah,
mhm.
as noted in the chat, it's cool to see Big DDD up, up this high. Yeah, the year of King DDD is in full effect. There were multiple tournaments won by King DDD players. Number 12. It's noticing the time. We'll pick it up. I think we're going through at a good pace. Gunner Maniac at 12th, repeating it from last year. Ninth at Nova, ninth at Sweet Spot Blue, and fifth at Sweet Spot Crimson. Wins on Hinkage, Big D, and 2024 honorable mention Grunion, who came in ninth at both sweet spots, but did not make the cut this year. Um,
Uh, yeah, again, and kind of another notable fall because Gunner was always like number 5, like for I think a long while. He was like the number 5 player because it was always me, 686, Cody, and Hoenn for the top
mhm,
4 for a while, and then Gunner would be at 5. So quite a fall from where he used to be. But I mean, I
right,
know he's also a capable player. I think part of it's also that he may have not gotten some of the best brackets for him.
right.
Whereas like did for losses, did he lose to Mike Ray or did they not play?
They did not play. Actually, they started to
Right.
play, but Mike DQ'd out from the event
DQ.
because he had his
Yeah,
hand
I
injury.
remember that.
Yeah,
So like that's kind of unfortunate for him because that's a strong player that he has. I don't know if he has overall the winning record on, but I think he's historically
he's beaten him
done like
before in the past, so
he's
it's
beaten them
outside
before,
shot that
right?
he would
And
have.
if he
Right,
gets that win, that can help his resume a lot.
right.
And same thing for Kios too, because he historically just always beats Kios.
Actually,
Um,
I think Kyle's has been winning the last couple. I don't know. It might be on. It's hard to remember online or offline. So I don't quote me on that. Actually, I don't know when the last time that they've played
I haven't
has been.
seen Kios beat Gunner offline. Maybe
Yeah,
I didn't. Maybe I'm missing it, but I just don't remember it off the top of my head.
yeah. I'd have to
So
look
it's
into
like he's not
2024 or
getting these
something like that.
players he tends to usually beat or can win. So that might be kind of affecting his ranking. But at the same
Right,
time, you gotta beat these other players on here.
right, right. No, I'm mistaken. They haven't played in a hot minute in tournament because he doesn't look like he's on the 2024 one either. So don't quote me on anything. I only looked at the data. I don't remember it.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So we covered Gunner. Yeah, he's kind of gotten a little unfortunate, yeah, because like picking up a Mike Ray win at that event would have really fundamentally changed. He would have been in the top 10, like almost certainly at that point. And then rounding
Mhm.
out the back half of the top 20, Mr. Ryan Ness coming in at number 11, wins on Hinkage, Gunner, Big D, Fallen, Ish, and Azazel. And
Yeah.
going through it, he
Both on
split
my
with Hinkage.
rankings, the official
Go ahead.
ones, and on yours.
At
Our
11.
11, 12, 13 are exactly the same.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's us. There you go. And oh no, it's going to differentiate next. But yeah,
Mhm.
he split with Hinkage, and he split with Fallen as well, and they had the loss to Zenon overall. So, but pretty good year. Definitely. Would you say the? I don't know if I would say he's the most improved newcomer in the last year. I would say year and a half or so. That's where I
Yeah,
would
I
put it.
mean that used to be Kylo, but I guess Kylo hasn't really been playing
Yeah,
anymore.
she's been all in that Rivals too. She's a generational talent in that game.
Yeah,
Instead,
no. So I guess now kind of the next up and comer might be Mr. INS. I don't know. I don't know how many other like up and comer players, right? New players we have. Um, but it's cool that we got them like two within the past like 2 years, Kylo and
right?
Mr. INS.
Yeah, we just gotta look for three. But yeah, I'm most excited about Mr. Ryan S to see where he where he ends up. He had a top. He came in fifth at Supernova, second at Vacation Land, and fifth at Sweet Spot Blue. Um, let's see, what was the other one? Where did he come at the other Sweet Spot? Just for my knowledge, just pulling up the data. Came in ninth at Monarch. Oh, he came in fifth at both Sweet Spots too. So if anything, like there was some thought in my head about putting him higher on the list. It's just it becomes harder when you look at some of the other head-to-heads on it. So reviewing where we're at: 11th, Mr. Ryan Ness; 12th, Gunner Maniac; 13th, Big D; 14th, Fallen; 15th, Xenon; 16th, Frisk; 17th, Ish; 18th, Kurobi; 19th, Azazel; and 20th, Big Fig, with honorable mentions Supergirl Kells, Ashley, Bike, and Gardex. And then we'll move on to the top 10. All right. All right. Looking on to the next side, top 10, we had Fino coming in at 10 with one notable tournament placement, which is third at Monarch, with Mike Ray win and a Xenon win. And I guess it starts to become more important as you get to the top. The losses. Fino also had no bad losses because his only losses at um at the event were Player-1 and Vex Kazrani. So only this is more just a I could see an argument to have him higher. I think some people did have him higher. There's a lot of contention, I think. Like spoilers, between 10 through 7 was a lot of contention on, different people had different ideas, and then I think between 4, 5, and 6 there's a lot of contention of different ideas. Even 3, I guess technically, with one of the notes in there. So 3 through 6 there's different contention, and there was even a little contention for 1 and 2, but not as much. That one was a pretty short discussion on that front. But yeah, he went on Mike Ray, went on Xenon, third at Monarch. Unfortunate for him, he looked like primed to make it even maybe into the top 5. He just unfortunately got sick at Supernova. So that kind of was probably the as noted in the chat. Yeah, like not being at Nova definitely hurt him, because he probably would have picked up quite a at least 2 or 3, probably 2 more ranked wins along the way would be at least, and then maybe even more after that if he was on a heater that particular day. So, um, you know, could have gone either way. So just kind of unfortunate for that Nova thing. But the one tournament we did get of him was was a solid win, especially with the win on Mike, a top 5 win.
Yeah, I would agree with all that. Could have been higher, but unfortunate
Yeah.
supernova stuff.
All right. Then number 9 we have Chia. Chia had another good season. Second at Genesis, fourth at Sweet Spot Crimson, third at Ranbat Legends, and let's see, there's another tournament in there. 1 second. Ninth at Sweet Spot. Oh no, seventh at Sweet Spot Blue was the other tournament, but it's not on the notable. But yeah, the highest mid tier main, I think. Oh no, unless is King DD mid tier in your book? Is he
DDD?
high tier?
No, DDD
Yeah.
is
No. Okay.
definitely not mid tier at all. I would
All
not
right.
even
Wins
say
on
even close.
Hoenn, Ish, Kurobi, Hinkage, Mr. Ryan Ness twice, and Ashley. So a pretty strong, pretty strong season. Again, one of those situations that we were kind of talking about where this is kind of like adding on cumulatively. I feel like all those wins are stronger than like just the one Mike Ray win. Even though the Mike Ray win is the higher peak compared to Fino, if that makes sense. But I could see an argument either way on that front.
Yeah, I had Fino higher on my list, and it might have again. I would have to look at the data and like see which tournaments happened when, but it might have just been because of the last year's data also.
Right.
But
It could have been 2 years
these
as well.
two, yeah, these two, I would say on both rankings, they're right next to each other, so they're pretty close in skill.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say Chia, playing against her lately. The past, like, I think 1 or 2 sets that we played, playing against her has been harder.
Mhm.
So I feel like she's might be like improving, at least in the Diddy Kong matchup. Rob's always a character I just want to bully, like try rush down, and she's like slowed the pace down where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is kind of hard and annoying to approach. Um, so yeah, maybe we can see Chia rise some even more. Hopefully not beat me in the future. So
I think one thing that hurt her resume, and this is not necessarily her fault, but it's kind of probably the truth is I think not having Nova on her list of tournaments, the singles of it was
oh
kind of
right, I forgot.
deprived her of opportunities to pick up a couple
Yeah,
more ranked wins that would
same
have
argument
catapulted her up there.
for
Yeah.
Fino. I think Chia's had like the reason Fino was higher was she had a few bad losses. Um, but overall she had maybe a higher peak with the Hoenn win.
Hmm.
But Hoenn was also ended up being a little bit lower than he usually has been, so
Hmm.
maybe not as good of a win as it usually would have been. So um yeah, I know. I feel like Fino, Chia, the placements between them has been kind of a toss up, where they've kind of always been in the same realm of like, okay, who's going to be higher? Like the same group of
Yeah.
players were kind of the lower end of the top 10 ish area.
Oh, did my headphones cut out? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, that was weird. Sorry, my headphones made a weird sound. All right, we covered that. Next up is Hinkage. Hinkage. He came in at 8. He came in ninth at Supernova, 7th at Monarch, 5th at Ranbat Legends. I think I feel like we're gonna change that that what's it called that graphic because there was also he came in 4th at one of the sweet spots. Sweet Spot Blue was actually the stronger event. His strongest event was 4th at Sweet Spot Blue as well. So uh, and ninth at Sweet Spot Crimson. So a good results all the way around. Yeah,
Yeah,
and as
this is
noted
like
in the chat, go ahead.
I was gonna say this is like a peak season for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kinkage is like what always keeps him down is also having like really bad losses. Typically, I think he
Mhm.
usually gets some good wins, namely on his brother, because they probably play often enough where he has the opportunity to get some good wins on Micro. Or maybe they know each other's play styles or whatnot, so it might be a little bit easier for him. But yeah, good peak season for Hinkage, and it's also, I guess, kind of cool to see like where you have like Mr. Ryan Ness as the up and coming new player. Hinkage is like a veteran of the game,
Yeah.
so it's like okay, the vet player is still like hanging in there, right? Even though the like a lot of the newer players, yeah, they're still up and coming. So it's cool. It's cool that they got to play 2 times, right? Because they traded sets. We said.
Right, and I think Hinkage like what he's done, and it's kind of the same like last couple of years too. He split sets with quite a few people. Like he split sets with me, he split sets with
Hmm.
Chia, and he split sets with Mr. Ryan Ness. And I think for better or for worse for him, the splitting the sets with me also I think kind of really bolstered, kind of put him over the top compared to Chia and Fino in my mind. Which
Yeah,
is kind
and
of
that's
funny when
also
talking
where
about it. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's also where our ranking systems differentiate a little bit. We've talked about this,
Yeah,
but I guess the fact that you weren't playing more your main repertoire of characters against Hinkage, I feel like kind of lowers the
sure.
win. And you can say that like you should have just went this character to do better on the rankings, I guess. But that was for the like the bigger stageless tournament, right? Where
Yeah,
you
that's Sweet
guys
Spot
play.
Blue.
He beat
Yeah,
you. Yeah, yeah.
right.
Um, so it's like I feel like when there's like um a a bracket that's not using a more traditional rule set, like it's not like I don't count the wins, but maybe I would count them less, and that's just like where me as a panelist or
Hmm.
other panelists could like use their what would you say, like their critical thinking skills, I guess. Whereas
Yeah.
like an algorithm like would just put this person there, this person there, and count it all equal or whatever. But
Mhm.
I don't know. That's I guess my take on that.
Yeah, and I'm like more inclined, like like you mentioned. Yeah, I think just the result's a result, and if I made poor choices, sometimes I just make poor make mistakes and learn from it down the line. But yeah, it depends on what we ultimately value. Actually, keep a pin on that idea on the rules, because I think that will pop up in a little bit. But a good season for Hinkage as well. Actually, what I was going to bring up is funny that for the win on me sort of thing, because he was more of the impression that he sucks for himself, and that a loss to him was worse for me than a win for him was good for him, or something along those lines. If that makes sense, it's kind of funny how that how that appearance or how that interpretation breaks down
Yeah,
overall. And
again,
but that
I would
also speaks to
consider
the
it.
people not wanting to rate themselves and be unfair. And I was like, Hinkage, I think to be fair to yourself, I think you did pretty well this season. So let's keep that in mind. So
Yeah, I would consider it, and I'm sure this will come up, I guess, more often as we get closer to the end of the rankings. But I would consider it more of like a to not to discredit the player that gets the win. I would probably try to value that win more rather than try to hurt the person like
sure,
you that lost more. So because you were playing not your main repertoire of characters where
yeah.
um so like I don't want to like devalue the win, but I don't want to I wouldn't try to hurt you for that either. So
Mhm. All right. Next up, we got seventh for Hoenn, and Hoenn is I guess he's technically the highest one event only person, but his one event was the one with two brackets at it. So he came in third at both sweet spot events with wins at over me. We split sets, and then Gunner twice, Chia, Big D, Mr. Ryan Ness, and Ashley. So a pretty solid, a solid slate of wins. He split sets with Chia overall, and he split sets with me. Then he lost to you, Hunter, and he lost to Mike. So those are his total. Those are his losses for the season. Um, Overall, am I missing anybody else? No, I think that covers pretty much all the notables. Um, did he go ICs versus everyone else? No, he did not go ICs versus everybody else. He went Meta Knight versus Mike off the top of my head. Uh, on it, and I don't know. Did he play Meta Knight against you in a set, Hunter?
I think
I
so. I
think
don't
so.
remember.
We could go back and look. I'm sure this is an empirical question. Somebody can go look and double check. But yeah, but a good season overall for Hoenn. I keep joking with him. This is gonna, when he comes out the sweet spot this year, is gonna be the third year in a row that he and I are gonna split sets, and then you can like interchange us in the rankings. We're essentially the same player at this point, so it's all good on that front for me. Um, but yeah, that 7 through 10 group was pretty contentious for the panel overall. Like some things that were thought about, like not just everything that we were talking about, but also on the role set side, like how valuable is Ranbat Legends for people? Because like some people were very much context heavy, the way that you're kind of talking about it, where this person only went this character, and therefore the win's not as valuable or something along those lines. And I'm very I guess context agnostic or neutral or independent of it, that I think a result's a result, and I try not to let narratives, carry wins or losses, for people and stuff like that. So it just kind of, it's a value call on that, and I see arguments, valid arguments, for both people. I got to
Yeah,
figure
I
out a way
think.
to make people not tank in rand bats, but that might just be the nature of the event, just because it's a side
Yeah, I
event for
think, and
Nova.
yeah, again, we're gonna probably keep having this discussion more as we get closer to the end, but
Yeah.
I feel like our positions on this have kind of swapped from what we kind of initially said at the beginning.
Uh-huh.
So like, I wouldn't want to. I'd say like Cody's just a prime example. So like, I'm kind of
Yeah.
skipping ahead to Cody, but like,
Yeah, we'll go to Cody now with
Cody.
6. Yep.
Okay, so Cody, yeah, perfect. Um, so obviously his best character would be his Meta Knight, and yeah, I would consider him a Meta Knight main. So like when you get to a Meta Knight band tournament, you can't use his main character.
Yeah.
That's hurting him a lot, right? and his Martha is obviously very good, and so does he has a lot of other characters. So if you
Right.
manage to beat his Martha or his other characters, I would count that as a very strong win for you, and that like that's a good record for you. But I also at the same time I wouldn't try to hurt Cody too much because he doesn't have access to his main arsenal of characters.
Right.
Um, and like you could also debate like Meta Knight should be banned, so like we shouldn't even like do that. But until Meta Knight ban tournaments become more standard, like that's how I would uh make that call, I guess.
Right. And, that's
And
actually,
so
the Meta Knight ban, when you talk about that too, is it's been a difficult balance to walk, because I like, just full disclosure, like some people there's some people on the panel that were very um as demonstrated by the dissenting note for Hoenn, not as a big a fan of Meta Knight or Ice Climbers, and but to their credit, they agreed to like what the everybody voted for, just without kind of setting aside the bias of how they feel about the specific characters. Because but I just like kind of, it was not too long ago that people were arguing that like Meta Knight banned tournament results should not count because Meta Knight's banned too. And I like, in the same way that I tell people, like, if people go and they're playing on the rules and they're just doing their best to win, I think the better player is gonna win on whatever rule set. And that, like, the same goes for like Meta Knight banned tournament or Meta Knight legal tournament or Big Blue, Sweet Spot 9, blue stage list, or what have you. That at the end of the day, it's um, that there's a thousand different ways things can can ultimately end up going. But the same reason that I tell people, yeah, we got to count the results for Meta Knight ban tournaments, is the same reason that I would tell people, we got to count the results for I guess Meta Knight legal tournaments, or and things like that. It's kind of interesting how there's two different sides of that same coin, with the the idea of like what should be a more valid result. You know what I mean?
yeah, I mean to go off, I mean I guess I feel like I have a lot to say about that, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, first off, to go back, the thing that I think we kind of swap positions on is that I
Yeah.
don't want to like I wouldn't want to hinder people from entering an event. So like it's great that Cody attended the Midnight Band tournament. Actually, I was reading the chat, and Vex said that not announcing it was a Midnight Band event wasn't fair to him. I thought it was announced. I felt like
It was pretty clear
maybe I
that
don't
it was Meta
remember,
Knight
but
banned. Like
I thought I
everybody,
came to that tournament expecting Midnight was banned. I thought that was like that was my impression. I'm pretty sure, but
that was like the announcement when the inception of the tournament. Like, maybe it was not made immediately clear to him, but in defense of the tournament organizer of that event, there have been multiple instances where Cody has come to an event and not necessarily known what the rules are for that particular event, that have
Mhm.
negatively impacted his ability to well, I guess leverage the rules to their best chance of winning. I won't go too much farther than that. It's just like in that it's like unfortunate. I mean, you're not as plugged in, Vex. Vex is indicating that he only found out at the venue, but I felt like Mike was pretty clear that this is going to be Meta Knight band, Ice Climber handoff band, and that it was like way in advance. And there's like always debate, like, oh, is Hoenn and Lux going to show up? And it turned out we both didn't show up, but it's not because
Mhm.
what's it called, the turn, the characters were banned and stuff like that. I had planned to go, except I told Mike explicitly, don't put it on this weekend. And I look at the scheduling, what is the one weekend that the tournament was on? It's like, damn, that sucks, I can't go. you
well,
know
anyway, well, yeah. Um, Besides that, though, like I don't want to dissuade like someone like Cody or a Mennonite main coming to a Mennonite band event, right?
right.
Because like they might be like, oh, this is going to count for the rankings. I'm not going to be able to use my best character, so I'm not going to go. And so I feel like that kind of discourages
Mhm.
attendance. So I would want to try to factor that in to dissuade from that. So I get like a win is a win, but at the same time, I think looking at the context would be important for me at least.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think maybe like, if I'm not, maybe I don't know if like, I agree that in sentiment, we like, I don't know if swapped is the right word, but yeah, I have like, it's different than some of the other discussion in it, but also keep in mind that like, I'm much more additive on how I interpret the results and resume on it. So like, the losses that Cody might have experienced, as Meta Knight, don't hurt him as much in the same way, like, for every other like thing, like, because when we were talking about like adding up wins for somebody else, right? Like accumulating a lot of like 11 through 20 wins might be better than picking up one top 5 win overall or something like that, right? That in a similar fashion, that like I think it's still consistent with the idea that a result is a result, but how you interpret that result in terms of it being like um it does help somebody else, somebody else's resume. And if by relativism that hurts someone else's resume because they don't have that same win, but that's still just a one factor of one result of one person's resume overall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't know if we're saying the same thing now, but like I said,
Yeah, I think we're pretty close actually.
yeah, I would like if someone beat Cody at a Midnight Band event, and like the the amount that their resume gets bolstered versus the amount of like how much Cody gets hurt, how much it helps that person versus how much it hurts Cody. It's not like a 1-to-1 trade-off for me. Um
Yeah,
it's not like it's not an equal value. It helps that person a lot, and I would think it hurts Cody less so than it normally would
right.
otherwise, right?
Yeah, and I
Um
think like maybe even like kind of clarifying it too, because I kind of skipped the intro on it. Let me just highlight this just for the purpose of the video. Cody came in sixth. He was the former number one player 2024. So it's kind of it's a big deal. He's the best Meta Knight in the game currently. So that's why Hunter and I are debating back and forth about this. But he came at first in Vacation Land, fifth at Monarch, which is Meta Knight banned, but then third at Supernova. With wins on Xenon, Vex, Kaios, Mr. Ryan Ness, Gunner, Maniac, and Frisk. Some of those, and SGK too as well. He had a win. Some of those with Meta Knight, some of those without Meta Knight, for sure. But I think to put a kind of a pin in it, because we'll get to 4 and 5 later. But I think just based off my interpretation of the results, I probably was like, I don't know if I was the strongest, but I was one of the stronger people that had Cody higher than he was on the rankings overall. And a lot of that isn't by virtue of the idea that like additive wins and and stuff like that. But obviously there were it's a panel, and we came to a majority decision we were talking about, and I think I ultimately landed at agreeing with where we landed on the as a whole with him at 6, just because of the resume building of the next two people coming up. So do you want to come up
well,
to 4 and 5, or do you have another
well,
thing to
it's
talk about?
this I guess relates more so to well, it might also relate to the next people's, but I feel like it
Yeah,
relates maybe more to Cody's.
yeah,
Also, I guess when you say, and we've also talked about this before, but I guess when you say a win is a win, no matter like what the rules of the tournament are, I feel like
hmm,
I feel like there is a line to be drawn somewhere, and so like for example. I would assume that you're not counting doubles tournaments results in this, but like at the
sure,
same time, you're still playing a Super Smash Brothers Brawl tournament under a
yeah.
different rule set. It's a 1v1 versus a 2v2 rule set. So it's like I feel like there's a line to be drawn, and or like versus off like the home run contest also at the Monarch,
At
or
Monarch,
any other like
yeah,
form of like what you can do a
one
tournament
v
with in
one or
Brawl.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah. It's
think
like you could say a
and,
win
yeah,
is a
and I think
win.
about like in regard to some of that rule stuff too. One of the things that's taken into consideration is I think if the players have a full disclosure and understanding that the event is going to count for rankings, that it ought to count. Um, and that's why I'm like very clear about how I advertise Ranbats for Supernova. But on the other side of it, it's like when I talked to Mike about Monarch, like on my end, I was very willing to count the low tier tournament, for example, as counting for rankings. You know what I mean? Because like it's singles, it's a tournament, it's not that much different than a Meta Knight band event. We were just talking about the degree of the tiers involved, like and stuff like that, and that would have given Vex a couple more wins as well. But Mike, when we talked about it beforehand, he said he was going to make it clear that the expectation for the players is the singles is the main event and is going to count like as that the ranked main event, and everything else is kind of a side event for seeding for the for the main event. But if people knew that they're gonna to take it to a logical extreme, if somebody came to me and said, look, I'm gonna run a home run contest tournament, and everyone knows that the home run contest is explicitly going to count for for the rankings as a set. I'd be like, okay, I guess, man, if they really want to do that, then it's more power to them. But they're still playing Brawl on some level. Fortunately, we haven't really had to test that in a meaningful sense, but it's something that I think um there's probably a place for context that I could be better about on my end, but but at the end of it, we have to also keep in consideration that there's a lot of people with a lot of vested interest in in where they're going to end up on the rankings, and people will come up with whatever excuse that they can think of in order to justify why they should be number 1 or number 5 or number 10 or number 15 or 20. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, that's also again going back to uh Rambats and like the official rankings.
yeah,
Um I guess like the official rankings try to use Rambats as an example, but we also tried to like look at the sets individually, like when
right,
two people played, and just kind of ask, okay, are they kind of taking it serious enough?
right,
Like for me, for example, when it comes to Rambats, I mean, I won Supernova. I didn't enter Rambats this time, but that was just because I was meeting up with an old friend
right, right.
to get For God or to get like lunch or something, or I had something else. Otherwise, I probably would have
Yeah,
entered. But like, I don't have any incentive really to enter the tournament, having just won the whole event.
right.
Like this entering Rambats could only hurt me essentially, because if I lose, then it's just hurting me for rankings. Like I have nothing to prove at
Yeah.
that point. Um, Especially like I don't know if there was a prize this time, but if there's like a like with no prize, or if it's like a small cash prize or something, then
Uh-huh.
it doesn't really incentivize like someone like me or someone who's doing well at Supernova to enter. So
Right.
it's like I mean I'll
Or it could be like
go.
for
Like
me, for
I
example, where I came in second at Nova, and then I was like, well, if I enter, I'm gonna have an odd amount of seedings. It's gonna really, fuck up the seeds and stuff like that. So I'll drop and I'll let someone else take my spot, and that person messaged me that they were actually not going to be there, and I didn't see it. Kind of a situation like that, right? So it's been known to happen. So these are real world situations that but yeah, point taken on
Yeah,
that front.
so like I feel like we can look at the context. I mean, I've entered in the past just going all Bowser
Oh,
because I just
Bowser,
wanted to.
yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to play Bowser at the time. I was like, okay. Um and so like when it came to that, like I wouldn't use the losses against me to hurt me too much. Like maybe you could say it
yeah,
hurts me to some degree, but not like if I get lost on on Diddy Kong. If I was playing Diddy
sure,
Kong with like a cash prize tournament or something like that, then
right.
but obviously I feel like that loss would matter a lot more. Now I think you could also say like I think my Bowser's a pretty good Bowser. So like
The
if
top 20
someone
caliber player,
yeah, if someone managed to beat my Bowser, like I feel like that is a good thing for their resume. So like if someone like in the bottom half of this top 20 like beat my Bowser, I think that's a notable win.
right?
Not that's the same notable win as if I was playing Diddy. And I think again, as we as human beings can look at the context and kind of uh look at the yeah look closer at the context and use our critical thinking skills, where
Sure,
an algorithm like might not do that, right?
absolutely. All right, let's move on to 5 and 4. Well, let's start with 5. Mike Ray 4. Second at Sweet Spot Blue, fourth at Monarch, seventh at Supernova. He DQ'd out of, unfortunately, had that injury for Sweet Spot Crimson. Let's see, third at Ranbats as well. Wins on Kaios, Hinkage, Hoenn, Ish, Mr. Ryan Ness, and Chia. Um, and there's definitely more. Hold on, let me pull up the list and see if I can pull up head to head here. Also had wins on um is Ish on there already? Yeah. Azazel, Big Fig, Ashley, as well. So yeah, and this is a case where it's like, again talking about Cody, like his strongest wins were in the top 5 with a split with Vex and a win on Kaios outright. Um, but Mike had a split with Kaios, but and a whole bunch of wins in the the back half of the top 10. So it's kind of one of those, again, the additive questions of like, is 5 wins in the back half of the top 10 more valuable than 1 win in the top 5? And depending on where you land on that would kind of depend on whether you land on Cody being higher or Mike being higher, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think on yours, official rankings, you ended up with Cody at 2, but I think a lot of that might have been also carried by he was first last year.
Yeah, it was big last year. He had some 686 wins, and six was still
Yeah,
considered a very strong win. And again, I looked at more of the context and like, okay, he lost when Meta Knight was banned, so it didn't hurt him as much as it normally would have. That type of stuff. So, but Mike, we both put Mike fairly high. I think this is the highest
right.
maybe he's ever been
Yeah,
on a
yeah, Mike at
ranking.
5 as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Mike had a really overall good season. I don't remember who his worst loss. I think he had like one bad loss,
His
but I don't
bad
remember who it
loss. Well,
was.
quote bad again. I don't know if this is bad because it's Fino was his worst loss.
Yeah, and I wouldn't consider that. He might have had a worse loss last season or last year that I'm thinking
Oh,
of.
okay.
Um,
Uh, I
but
don't
I
have it
don't
immediately
remember.
on hand.
I might be wrong
For
too. Yeah, I don't
2024.
have my data pulled up. But yeah, I know him and Kiosk would trade sets a little bit, but I think Kiosk like had a lot more wins than
Uh-huh.
Mike, at least for the past two
Actually, I think
years.
it's pretty comparable overall because I guess we can, well, spoilers on the or not spoiler, on to the next one. At fourth we had Kaios, first at Rambat Legends, fifth at Monarch, and fifth at Supernova, a little tiny tournament called Supernova. He also came at second at the pre-lab or a game lab pre-Supernova event where he took a set off of Vex as his marquee win, but wins on Mike, two on Hinkage, Chia, Ish, and Frisk. Were his marquee wins. Is there anything else on the head to head? Also Big
Yeah,
Fig as
good.
well.
I'd say also good
Iota, Winter
wins.
Shorts, and Fear down the
Yeah, good
line.
wins. This is I feel like I've always felt like Kios has usually like better than what his ranking has historically placed him, but he's either had some like unfortunate bracket luck or just not like really good sets, or he'd lose this sets who I personally would predict that he would beat.
Yeah,
Um like Iota.
yeah.
I can mostly consider because he plays and Iota doesn't really play, but he beat him this time. Or like Gunner, I would consider. I feel like Kiaz. I've always felt like Kiaz is probably the stronger player than Gunner, and maybe that's just personal bias because
Yo, that
Kiaz.
matchup sucks
Yeah,
is part of the problem
yeah,
though.
Kiaz might kind of do better than me than Gunner, but he didn't have to run into Gunner this season. So
True.
like that, like what we talked about with Gunner, he didn't get to
Yeah, but I guess the
fight.
difference is like you have Kaio so much lower, this year, and I felt like Kaio's last year had a an outside shot of being considered top 5, and
Yeah, I think
and
he
this
lost
year,
to
if
Max
anything, like, in
Power.
my head, I'm like thinking he might have had a better year last year outside of not coming in top 8 at Supernova
Well, yeah,
last year
he
than he
lost.
did
I think
this
he
year.
lost to Max Power, which was considered
Yeah,
kind of a bad loss.
right.
Because Max wasn't like super high. Although I feel like Max is also another player where he could be pretty high if he attended more events. But kind of just looking at like a ranking standpoint, he had a bad. It
Yeah,
was a bad loss to Max, a ranking wise. So
sure.
that tended to hurt him on my list, I think. And he may have had another bad loss, but
It was
I don't
Iota
remember.
and Max last year, but he did well
Oh
at
yeah, so
Wavelength. I think he came
those two
second at that
losses like
tournament.
hurt him quite a bit
Yeah.
for this ranking. So that would be it. Um, yeah,
They had a win on Fino and a win on win on Mike and stuff even last season. I don't know. I think like I think when you showed me your the official rank, I was like if there's any nitpick that I had on it, I was like I feel like Kyle's is low, but that was also with the benefit of
yeah,
some of
he
the
could have.
numbers on
I
it.
think I was torn between Hoenn and Kia because Hoenn also did not have too many results. Um, I guess maybe it's more so he didn't have too many tournaments, but the fact that he
Yeah.
had two brackets with Sweet Spot kind of helped him with
Yeah, and
the
then the
data
win
part
on
of it.
686M also
Yeah.
actually the
Yeah, it was
couple
the win
wins
on
on 6 help.
66, but he had a bad loss to Valdens, I think,
Valdens, yeah, at Beak Bomb
at
24.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um so that could have like hurt him more, and I was kind of torn like how bad is the Valdens loss versus the Max Power and Iota loss? And I think ultimately I kind of decided they were kind of comparable, but Hoenn had like a higher peak with the 686 win, and that
Right.
basically put him higher. So that would be like I think the logic that I used at the time.
Sure.
But I was also it was kind of between Kios and Hoenn.
Sure. Okay. Um, one of the things that again, this will probably give you a field day, but I just want to bring it up just because it was one of the contentious points on the panel, and this goes for Mike too, is that Vex went Ganondorf and ran bats, and one of the wins Kaios had on Vex was with against his Ganondorf for grand finals of Rambat. So I'm sure that's one that you would say context wise should not help Kaios
Yeah,
very much.
and my
But
result, I
that
don't
same
know if I
Ganondorf
knew.
also beat Mike Ray as
Yeah,
well.
I don't know if I knew that. Did it beat Micro Snake?
No, you played Diddy off the top of my head.
See, that'd be part of it too. But I
Oh,
don't
okay,
think I knew that also when I was doing my ranking. So because I did not watch Rambats, and I don't think there was
gotcha.
like a recording of or who
Yeah,
maybe there were
there's a
recordings, but I
recording, but
didn't dig deep enough into it.
they're out in the ether somewhere. So yeah,
Oh yeah, I think I
but you,
did try looking for the recording to see who they played,
uh,
and I don't think I figured it out. So I tried to just use my best judgment there.
yeah.
So
So
that
that's
was
something
kind of a
context wise. Yeah,
yeah, it's kind of a flaw probably to the official rankings right there. I would say
yeah.
that I
But
didn't
it's hard,
know
like you
like
said. So it's hard to capture all the ranking or the all the info, especially if not all the video information is up and accessible. So it's something that we as a community can endeavor to to do well on, but but broadly it's like doing all the video and stuff like that is a kind of a thankless job and stuff like that. So as much as people can be critical about VODs, so I think we just got to keep in mind that like people are volunteering to do a lot of this stuff like unpaid, and it's just everyone's fighting their battles and doing their best, and we just got to be thankful for for the data that we do have. So
hmm
broadly it's it's but yeah, that was something that was a kind of a sticking point. I think that we were kind of kind of all debating, but I do think that like, but overall, like if you look at the top 10, I think like one of the deciding factors ended up being that like Kaios had a overall positive record against people in the top 10, Mike had an even record, and then Cody had a losing record against people in the top 10. So that was kind of one of the differentiating factors between the all of them as well. Um, turning the corner, almost bringing this one home. We got to number 3. We got ChaseTheLux with first at Genesis 2, and then second at Sweet Spot Crimson. I think I came in 5th at Sweet Spot Blue, and then second at Supernova. And this year I made it, in the offseason, I made it an intent, made it a mission to practice my non Meta Knight and Ice Climber characters. And, I think for my end, I'm particularly proud of the fact that I think even if you take out my Ice Climber specific wins, so like, the P1 set and the Cody sets, and maybe the one Hoenn set, I don't know if I'd be in the top 10, but I would definitely be in the top 20, maybe in the at least the top 15 for sure. With my with my non ice climber characters, but obviously put a lot of prep into into Supernova especially, and a lot of study. So I'm glad that I ended up where I did. And there was no one else that I'd rather share grand finals with than you, Hunter. So I'm glad it's kind of a almost storybook overall. But let's see. Did I mention the wins? Player-1, Cody times 2, Hoenn, Hinkage, Chia times 2, Gunner Maniac. I also had wins on Fallen, Ish, Karobi, Minty Flesh. I'm sure there's someone else I'm not naming, but those are the kind of the higher end wins. Yo, I have that many. Vex is asking why do I have so many characters on my card? It's because I won a set in them, with them and all of them. Oh, you know what? That's a good point. I'll ask Blueprint to put your Bowser and Ganon on the list because that is actually an oversight. We'll get to that point. That is actually a fair point, Vex. You are right. You deserve those character icons. But yeah, I used a shit ton of characters in this tournament. Particularly notable, I'm the one that kicked off the year of the King DDD. As much as Vex is the king of the kings, I was the first of the King DDDs to win a tournament with my win at Genesis 2 with the Big Diesel. So that was a notable. I'm not sure what character I'm going next year. Might be Mario, might be Zelda, might be Samus. It's gonna be a dumpster fire, but it should be fun. So yeah, came in third. Any notes on that?
Um, no, I mean, I feel like everything, like
Yeah, everything
everyone's
else after
facing the
this is
same
gonna be kind
things
of
as
straightforward.
before. Like
Yeah.
the hinkage loss would, like we've already had that conversation, so
Hmm.
I don't think I have anything else to add there.
Yeah, I think like like I said, I'm more inclined to like give Hinkage the benefit of the doubt on like the losses. It's like the win is a win, but we've talked about that one quite a bit already. So we'll move on to Vex. This is probably the story of the rankings. Vex Kazrani, first at Monarch, second at Ranbat Legends, fourth at Supernova, and he also won the pre Supernova Game Lab tournament. So the biggest of Diesels, the big DDD, the King DDD, one of the three, but the biggest of the three. King DDDs winning big tournaments this season. He got wins. The only player with a positive win loss ratio on Player-1 and on the season, and then he split with Kaios 2 sets, uh, 2 wins on Mike, split with Cody, and then win on Hinkage, win on Fino, win on Mr. Ryan Ness, win on Ish, win on Azazel, win on Ashley, uh, win on Fear as well, down ballot. Um, just a remarkable achievement. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like it's just absolutely insane. What he put up there. Not earmuffs on this 100 on your end, but there's a non-zero. If we're talking strictly head-to-head matchups, and I mean talking strictly head-to-head matchups, especially taking into context some of the like oh, you went Ganondorf or something in a particular set. Vex is the only player without a losing head-to-head matchup series the entire season on anybody. So there's a possible argument for him to be number one. But then it'd be odd to put him as number one compared to I guess spoilers down the line. We'll talk about both of you guys because the rest of the list. We talked about you a little bit earlier, but Player-1 being the number one player coming in first at both Sweet Spot, Supernova, pretty much anything that you enter, except for second at Monarch, was your only blemish on the season. But getting back to Vex, yeah, he had a positive win loss ratio on everybody. It's not positive even on the other side of it. So that was the only argument that kind of we considered for a second, like, oh, I wonder if this head to head thing might need a second look as opposed to just placings too, if that makes sense.
No, yeah. If I was on the panel, honestly, I might have just like with the criteria that we've discussed, or
Yeah.
the criteria I typically use, I may have just put also Vex ahead of me,
Mhm.
um, for that reason. But uh, since the official rankings used last year's data, I
That's
had
a
the six
problem for
eight
next
six
year.
win. Yeah, I had the 686 win, so that
Right.
that bolstered my resume, I would say.
Yeah, and
Um,
10 ChaseTheLux wins, I think overall or something insane.
so like I could definitely see the argument. Um, but I guess for your criteria, since it's more additive, I had more
Right.
more wins.
Yeah. Okay. I don't want to like brush over Vex. I think we give him his rose as much as we can. Just no dispute. Like second place is absolutely like, a remarkable achievement, for the player. And yeah, maybe if he dials in, maybe he could take a challenge for number one. Like I said, Player-1 first and a lot of stuff. I'm gonna go through and read all this. Uh, Strongest win was of course the one win on Vex at Supernova. He has just a tiny 4 wins on ChaseTheLux at 3, 2 wins on Kaios, 3 on Mike Ray, 1 on Cody, 1 on Hoenn, 1 on Hinkage, 1 on Chia, 1 on Fino, 1 on Ish, 1 on Arch from back in the day, a formerly ranked player as well. Um, so yeah, you had I forgot I did the math on it. Let me do the math on it real quick. Well, but what are your thoughts? Congratulations for being just a honorable champion, by the way. But let me do some quick stat calculation. But any thoughts on your season?
Um, I mean, I just had a good season. It's cool to have. I mean, I'm thinking more so my rankings, but it's cool to have finally beat six.
Mhm,
Um, that one year, and that's I feel like that's kind of what solidified me as number one.
mhm.
For me. So like I said, for you, the criteria for your rankings, the fact that it's just this year, I may have
Yeah, he
put
went
six higher
16 and
than you,
3 against the
but
top 20 for the season, which is kind of insane. Like, if you think about it, like that's and that's like he only went to a couple tournaments. He went to four of the hardest tournaments for the season, right? So it's like
yeah, yeah.
you stayed home and protected those stats outside of when you had to meet Four God for for dinner and didn't do rand bets, but that's okay. But yeah, just again another remarkable achievement. Somebody's got to put a stop to the madness. Vex already had the couple wins, but I got you were my marquee win for the for the season overall. So but
um,
yeah, it's a great season
I mean, it's
overall,
cool
man.
that I think historically, I think this is the first time that a non-Meta Knight or Ice Scoring player has been number one. So that's a cool achievement.
Yeah,
Um,
it is.
I still would like to beat Cody's Meta Knight.
Mhm.
That's still a goal of mine. Like the player I want to beat the most would be Cody, but while he's playing Meta Knight.
Sure.
At the same time, fuck Meta Knight. He should be limited in some capacity or banned, for
Okay,
sure. Um,
fair.
but I think it's a doable goal. It's a his Meta Knight is beatable.
Right. Well, yeah, I agree. His Mennonite is beatable on occasion. Some people have made the magic happen once or twice. But yeah, yeah. I think just broad strokes. Hold on, let me recap. So player one was number one. Number two Vex. Number three ChaseTheLux. Number four Kaios. Oops. Number five Mike Ray. Number six Cody. Number seven, Hoenn. Number eight, Hinkage. And number nine, Chia. And 10, Fino. I think what's not lost on me for this for these rankings is if you look at the top three players and maybe top four too, to a lesser extent, the top three players this season, maybe for the first time, are like the lab monsters for the game. Like I don't think that there are three players in Brawl, like at the top, that have labbed the game like the three, you, Vex, and myself have, which is kind of crazy, to really think about. I think
Yeah,
like the
I
three of
mean,
us have
like,
really pushed our characters in ways, that just from a technology standpoint, it's like an arms race practically. The way that we're
yeah,
doing battle.
I would agree with that. It is cool. I mean, like, also back like ADHD was always like the best Diddy Kong, pretty much throughout the game's lifespan. But
Mhm.
he was, I never considered him like a lab monster. Not that he wasn't
Yeah.
like not technical or didn't know tech or anything, but um, I don't know. I've always felt like I was the Diddy Kong that like knew the most about the character or implemented the most tech, and I'm just like, I don't know. I just want to play optimal. Like my goal
Mhm.
was not to be number one. It still really isn't. I just want to play the best that I can, and and implement like new tech. Just do push my character as far as I can go.
Definitely. Yeah, I've always been the same way, much to the dismay of everybody else, because the character that I pushed the hardest was definitely Ice Climbers, and that has varying mileage in terms of the acceptance from the rest of the community. But I'm just doing my best to do my best in the game, man. It is what it is. Sometimes. I do want to note at the bottom of the rankings, I did put the head to head for the top 20 for people to review for 2025. Then it was a helpful resource for us to look at, and I would be remiss if I didn't say a big thank you to the panelists for putting helping everybody put this together. I know I was kind of like maybe like a spokesperson more or less for it, but it's definitely a team effort. And I think, to be honest, if you ask Blueprint, I think she probably might have done the most work on it, to be honest, overall. But Blueprint and Quackus in particular put together some pretty sharp looking graphics for us, but also Hinkage and Frisk. Also being panel members and bringing like that higher level player guidance and context to the rankings for people was very helpful. And then Ashley was just absolutely a rock star co-chair. When I was going insane, she kind of kept me sane and kept me in line from apparently influencing people too hard. It was definitely a really fun project, and I'm looking forward to I'm happy with 2025. It was a great year for Brawl, and I'm looking forward to 2026 and hoping that it's an even better year than this one. And we're just gonna go out as a community and do our best to make it the best year in Brawl yet. And of course, thank you to you, Hunter, for hopping in and talking shop with me for a couple hours now. At this point,
Yeah, I always enjoy talking.
Yeah. All right, I'll take questions from the chat. How much longer do you got, Hunter, before we kill it here?
Maybe like 10 minutes ish.
All right, I got 10 minutes of Q&A, and I got the first question from Frisk. And we kind of touched on this a little bit. Frisk was wondering if you would have changed your placement of him on the official rank based off the no repeat characters bracket at Escape Pod. Because if I recall correctly, at the no repeat characters bracket, Frisk had quite a few strong wins. An error occurred. I tried to open it, Frisk, and you're seeing this on the chat. It's not opening. So StarGG is destroying you. So put in the chat somewhere what your wins were in that bracket. But StarGG just hates you. I did my best. But tell me what those wins were. But yeah, like it's kind of the thing that we're talking about. Like we're on my end where I was like I know last year I argued, I was like, I think we should count this no repeat character bracket, because my rationale is people thought that it's like it's an event, they're gonna try at it, it's Brawl, it's just different rules, and we should just be accepting of the different rules that people use for the tournament. But yeah, first picked up wins, I guess, on Pheno, Gunner, and Mike at that no repeat character bracket. So would that have moved them up the rankings? You don't have to commit to a hard like this number or anything like that.
That would not have been a factor in my rankings at all, because it's not a standard.
Uh-huh.
It's not a standard tournament rule set. So I mean that would, to me, that would be like a fun side event in the same way that the low tier tournament was, or that ring contest was.
Yeah. Okay, so there's your answer, Frisk. Sorry, no, it's not standard enough for the official ranking panel's judgment on the factor. So better luck next time on a more traditional bracket. Eagle's not here, but I did address those in the chat a little bit. He asked questions on the topic of like if people are salty about their rankings, does that like influence it? And there's kind of a bit of a kerfuffle in the general chat a couple weeks back with a player not being particularly happy about where they thought their ranking was going to be. And I think broadly, on my end looking at it, I think the ranking stayed like pretty consistent throughout. I don't know if there's like much movement on anybody outside of maybe like one or two spots at most. And that's even from like the initial ballots before we even talked about anything. I do know that like broadly, like I do my best not to really take into consideration what the people have to say, but it's a small community. People are going to talk to each other and stuff. And like, I would say that I did talk to the one particular player, and that particular player is free to share what I told them. But most of it, what I told them was, look, man, I'm not going to ask you to agree with my rationale on how I want where I'm going to rank people, but I just want you to understand that it's not like bias, like people hate you or anything like that. It's just that we have our values on what we think is going to be right. So while you might not agree, at the very least, it's not like people have it out for you and just like hate, your participation in games and stuff like that. So, if anything, the only thing that like really like would influence balloting was kind of like just the discussion that we had in the panel on like, we think, this player should be higher because they had more wins in the in the 11 through 20, and that might count more than one win in the in 6 through 10 or something like that, right? So and a lot of that's like a value or a judgment call. There is no like one correct answer for it, and so but we did our best to be as fair to people as we can get, and you know it's just something that's going to come with it. People are just not going to agree, and a lot of that is we should be sympathetic to them not agreeing with the rankings, because there is no like one correct answer to how to do the rankings. You heard Hunter and I, who agree on like 90% of stuff, that we have like some disagreement on like how we handle certain situations, and but I could say here and say, yeah, I think Hunter means well for the game, and he's thought his way through why this is the way that it ought to be. I'm not gonna like sit here and question the motivations of anyone or anything like that. And that's not to put any particular player on blast, but just to point out that like the panel does its best to be about as um, impartial as they can, and then they talk to each other about like how to prove their case, and that was something that ultimately that we ultimately landed where we did, where we all ended up majority agreeing with the with the final ranking as they stood. So that's about as clear as I can hopefully make it, and and hopefully that's satisfactory to everybody that's listening to that explanation. It's not an easy thing. Like there's a lot of people have like people care very deeply about the game, and that's how I interpret it. So I think the dissent is healthy, and that's also why I gave people the opportunity to talk about like where they disagreed with the panel and stuff like that too. So hopefully that addresses that question. Any other questions? Why did we scrap the importance of tourney sizes? That was like not really a like a clear like hard decision or anything. It is more that like I don't know like if it really benefited the community, in the sense that it's like, oh, this like one tournament is a super major or not, because the rankings are arbitrary. People would just kind of argue about like, oh, is this tournament more important or not, and we just kind of landed on like um Supernova is the most important because most of the people went to it, and then Monarch or Sweet Spot were the next most stacked tournaments, and then it kind of sorted itself out after that. So I think the drama and the toxicity that came, like, oh, this tournament has to be a B tier, a C tier, an A tier. Mostly, and to be honest, a lot of it driven by me. That's something that I would probably own, that I own up to. Because people will take that into consideration for when they want to go. So I think. Without that like being a hard, bright line, and people can kind of leave it up to interpretation, it kind of gives people like the opportunity to be like, okay, I know which events are kind of important, but specifically, oh, I want to go to the B tier versus the B minus tier is not as much conversation anymore. So I think overall it's better broadly for the events. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, for the official rankings, we'd only look at the how big the tournament was, the size of it.
Yeah,
If really, if it was like a tiebreaker scenario, I don't think it's that important for one, a game as small as Brawl is right now, compared to
yeah,
like larger scenes like Ultimate. Um, it kind of makes more sense for them to use that tiered system of like which ones are more important or not. But I mean, I feel like we got to take what we got type of thing. So it's like,
right.
I mean, we're not playing for like thousands of dollars generally. I'm just like playing because we like the game,
For the
and
love of the game,
so
and a good
yeah,
time after
I
the
just want
tournament.
to. I mean, I just want to beat the other person, and knows that doesn't matter what how big the tournament is or what the size is. So I mean,
Mm.
like, would I care about Supernova more than like a local tournament? Like, yeah, I would. Because Supernova is like our big one, but
Mhm.
that's why it would just be like our pretty much just like as a tiebreaker sort of thing.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
um, I also think for Ultimate, like if it was me heading up the entire like Ultimate rankings or whatever, I like they don't use like local tournaments like at all if it's not like big enough. Which I wouldn't. I would use them if it was feasible to get all that data. But like Ultimate
Mhm.
tournaments, there's like in some areas there's like a tournament every single day. Like there's just too much data to shift through, and you
Right.
just have to kind of cut out the smaller stuff in favor of the larger things. So like it makes more sense when you get to scale of a scene. But yeah, for Brawl, just it doesn't really make sense to, in my opinion. But like if you're like talking about Supernova versus some like 8-man tournament that has like no cash prize or something, like yeah, like that makes sense a little bit to differentiate between the two. But again, I'm like more so looking at the context of it. Like, who did these two players go with their 8-man tournament? Did they go their mains? Did they use a standard rule set, or are they just playing like goofy? They're goofy characters like on Hyrule Temple or something. Like I
Sure.
would discredit that. So, um, like if that was what happened at Supernova Grand Finals, like we agreed to go goofy characters on Hyrule Temple, I'd probably discredit that too, to some degree. So, it's more so, yeah,
That's
I'm
where we
looking more at
differ.
the
I'd be like, that
context.
is the most important set of the entire year
I wouldn't,
overall.
yeah, I wouldn't. It doesn't really matter to me too much if it happened at Supernova or some
Yeah,
random tournament, and unless it's like a really niche tiebreaker scenario.
gotcha. Oh, here's a question. Brought up by Frisk. I'll ask it in a more creative way. When are you signing up for Sweet Spot 10?
Oh, I guess I forgot to do that. I guess
Yeah,
I
you forgot
should.
to do
I
that.
still need to
Uh,
officially put my work request off, but there
oh,
we go.
what the
I,
heck?
I'm ready.
Are you
But
gonna
I'm
get
already
denied?
good to go.
Oh, okay.
What?
What the heck? Uh-oh. But yeah. Spoilers.
It actually falls on a day that we don't have kids at school, so like
Oh,
I wouldn't be
really?
missing much. Yeah,
Heck yeah.
it's a
All
teacher
right.
like work day type of thing.
Nice. Um, let's see. Spoiler: who's attending or might be attending? I don't have the exact list up. Let me take a look here real quick. Um, I know at least I can think of at least 4 of the top 10 and 7 of the top 20 that are coming to the event already. Let's say that they're going. Oh, then that's one decline that I was hoping it was going to be a yes, but it's okay. It's uh I wish Vex would come because that'd be a cool tournament to have. And there are a couple more that I'm working on. So there's an outside chance that it'll be similar to last year where we had like 12 of the top 20, but I don't know if that'll be the case. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be above 7 for the event as well. So uh,
The Sweet
I guess
Spot's
the only
always, I
split.
feel like, the most stacked tournament in terms of how dense it is, I guess,
Yeah,
like relative
it's
to
a
the player count.
well, I don't know. I think Monarch had it beat last year by virtue of
Well,
Invitational,
yeah,
right? Because
Monarch because of the Invitational, of course,
we had
but
similar
without
similar
counting
numbers of ranked players. I
Invitationals.
think going from it, and in terms of stackness, it's hard to tell until the end of the year because maybe I'm gonna fall off and I'll be like not even top 20 with my Mario and Samus and Zelda only, and then it's gonna be not a stacked tournament at all anymore. Who knows? What'll end up happening? But there's quite a few top players that are already committed, and it's gonna be a good time. If I win that tournament, Pink Death is on me for the after party. And if Hunter wins, then maybe I'll be salty. I don't know if I'll do Pink Death, but I'll get something for the group as well. You know how it is. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Any other questions? Yeah, we had Hunter being extremely generous with his time. All right, man. I think that is everything. So thank you, Hunter. I appreciate. Congratulations on 2025, and I will see you in grand finals at 2026. Okay.
Well, that sounds like a plan.
All right, man. Take care of yourself.
All right.